Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Based EDH, your source for no cringe commander. And today we are bringing you a very red hot spicy deck tech that was put together by none other than your boy Skinny P himself, Dakota.
What up? It is your boy. In fact, I do have a skinny penis.
Way to lead off the episode. So, Dakota, you saw Delina and immediately it tickled your fancy and a couple of other things that we won't mention on the show. Can you kind of give us the rundown? Well, I guess we ought to read the commander first, huh?
Yep. So Delina is a 3/2 elf shaman for 3 of any color and a red. And she says, when she attacks, choose target creature you control, then roll a d20. If it's a 1 through 14, I create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and it has exile this card at the end of combat. If I do a 15 through 20, I just get that token, and then I roll the dice again. Hopefully, I don't know what the actual odds of this is. I won't like to make 15 tokens in a turn.
No, there's no way you're getting 15 off of rerolls.
If I get Barbarian class, I might.
Oh, boy. I haven't even read Barbarian class. So I only have been introduced to this deck about 30 minutes ago and got to looking at this thing. So kind of explain how this deck works. Like, ideally, what are you trying to do with Delina? You're making token copies. Like, how are we winning the game?
Big creature.
Big creature?
Big creature with a little bit of board control and a little bit of cool ETB leaves the battlefield effects.
Gotcha.
Because Delina does not allow attack triggers to go from tokens she creates, I had to focus on the enters the battlefield ability, but then I kind of started looking at other ways to, because that kind of can get boring of just ETB decks. I already have 2 of them. I don't need a third one. Mm-hmm. So I started looking at, okay, what are some ways that I can kind of just get around creatures that are big, that have downsides, and creatures that leave the battlefield. And so then I have some ETB stuff, because, you got to throw in a combustible Gear Hulk.
Yep. Every time.
Yep. But I also have some unique kind of cool stuff around combat and leaving the battlefield.
Cool. So let's take a look at some of your... you put these in the combat trick section. So let's say ideally how the game's going. You've got Delina out on turn 3 or 4. And then the next turn you're swinging. And hopefully you're going to make a token copy. Now, we've got ramp to get us up through Delina. And we don't even have to cast Delina until we're ready to start making token
You're
copies.
probably going to want to sandbag a little bit.
Yeah. You might... the thing about her is she costs 4. And you don't really want to be copying something that's out a turn earlier than her.
There's some cool creatures. Grenzo's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And it makes non-legendary tokens, just for the record.
Very cool.
Very, very
based.
important. Let's see here. Let's take a look at Grenzo Havoc Razor. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose one of these options. Either goad target creature that player controls, exile the top card of that player's library. Until the end of turn, you can cast that card and spend mana like it were any color to cast it. That is a cool piece of tech that you could do the turn after Delina gets on the battlefield. I like that. But apart from Grenzo, I'm looking through this list. I'm not seeing anybody that, besides Varchild and maybe Feldon, that you're ideally... Dockside, you could absolutely do.
Rage Nimbus, which is a little kind of cool effect. The nice thing is, so ideally you want to swing with Delina the turn she comes out. If you are able to cast her turn 2, turn 3, because I have 12 pieces of ramp in this deck, which is pretty much unheard of for you, boy, then if you can get something down that's... Because then nobody's going to really want to kill your commander on turn 2 or 3. They're going to want to ramp. They're going to want to do their own thing. Then you can put something out the next turn if you have to with Delina.
That being said, all else fails, if you just don't have any big boys in your hand that you're trying to get out, you're not doing anything else, you can just... It just says choose target creature you control with Delina. You can target herself and make a non-legendary copy, and then send both of, and then you can start sending the token in, and you don't care if the token dies and you're getting your effect, or you can just start sending both and trying to just whip on both of them. That works really well as well.
The cool thing is, you get your tokens, they excel at the end of combat. So if you have ways to get additional combats, depending on how they're worded,
I think most of them say there's another main phase followed by another combat.
Let's look at Port Razor here.
Port Razor.
What is he
saying? For 5, you're getting a 4/4 Orc Pirate. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. After this combat, there is another combat phase.
So I think you would have to still sacrifice it. I'm not for sure Scourge of the Throne, how that works. I think it's the same. I think you might end up actually having to sacrifice, or technically exiling all the copies. But you do extra combat, you still get more Delina effects.
You're still getting more Delina effects. And all of this to say that maybe hold Delina back until you can get something big like a Traxos, Scourge of Kruge.
Which is only 4 mana.
Which is only 4. Yeah, he's a banger in this deck. And whenever you make a token copy of him, he's going to untap himself.
He's not going to untap himself because it's a cast trigger.
Is it a cast?
It is a cast.
Whenever you cast a historic spell untap. Oh, but darn. It's not just an artifact entering. Yeah. You learn something new every day.
I don't care if he's tapped or not. I'm still going to be able to
We don't care. We're going to untap him somehow.
You know what even that works with?
What does that work with?
Let's say a creature has Defender.
Oh no!
You don't give
don't hit him with the spiciest piece of this deck. I'm about to do it. I'm about to do it.
Do it to him.
Colossus of Akros.
He did it to him. Tyler, that's a 10/10 with Defender. It can't attack.
It sure can't. But
Delina don't give a fuck.
Delina does not give two you-know-whats. And so she just says create a tapped and attacking token. I mean, it enters tapped and attacking. It doesn't care that Defender says this creature cannot attack because it's not being declared attacked.
Correct.
It's just entering and it's going. So if you can get Delina out with the Colossus and get if you get the 15 through 20, great. You got another Defender that is just, no pun intended, monstrous.
Right.
That gets even bigger. But 75% of the time, you're swinging with a 10/10 indestructible.
Yeah.
Now, that's awesome.
They're either, sure, some people you're going to have trump blockers and stuff, just don't set them at them. Or, if you go to the next card, another Colossus.
Straight down.
Has the same effect as Traxos, where you have to pay 9 to untap her. Well, she's got Trample.
That's not quite the same, but it doesn't untap. Yeah. You just have to pay to untap the Colossus of Sardia.
You don't care if it's tapped. You're just making a copy that's a swinging.
Yep.
You just get a 9/9 with Trample.
Yep.
And if you're lucky, you might get 2. And if you're really lucky, you might get 3. And if you're Dakota, you'll get 15 in a row.
Yeah, you're just banking on getting the critical hits.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this Conquering Manticore, my guy.
Conquering Manticore and Breaker of Armies fall into the same synergy. Delina is small. She is a 3/2.
Yeah, she's also an elf, which elves are only good for one thing.
Yes. It's pretty easy for her to die in combat. So if you have certain effects that kind of let you remove some of the blockers without having to kill them, that's pretty easy. Because red, if they have a 6/6, to kill it in red is going to be really hard. Mm-hmm. But if you have a Conquering Manticore, it enters the battlefield, you just gain control of it. So now they're getting attacked with a 5/5 in the air, a Delina, and their best blocker is now yours for the turn.
Yep.
What are they going to block with? Breaker of Armies says the same thing, except it's even better because it says all creatures able to block Breaker of Armies do so.
Super, super underrated card, especially in a deck that just needs things to get out of the way. I mean, in a deck where you're playing against tokens, like if you have a Reese the Redeemed in your meta, or I play with Darien, King of Keldor, and my ideal game is to have a bunch of 1/1s. Now, this kills 10 creatures maybe. Now, that's Magical Christmas Land, yeah. I know. But all creatures able to block it do so.
But, I mean,
awesome.
Somebody has an interesting commander that they don't want to... They just... if somebody has an Osgear, because Tyler has one on his shelf, they don't want to have to block with Osgear.
Yep.
Oh, but they didn't activate him because there was nothing... He has to block.
They don't want to block with their Hushbringer.
Yeah.
Or their... what's the name... what is that one? It's a soldier that prevents enter the battlefield triggers, but it's basically a Hushbringer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
From...
It's like Telenali's Chosen, or I can't remember the name. But there's going to be a lot of little support creatures, is the point I'm trying to make. That Breaker of Armies is going to come through and just kill all of them. And as the attacker, you get to decide where the damage goes. So you get 10 power worth of picking off to do. And you only lost 1 8/8, or better yet, you only lost a token made by Delina just for attacking. Yeah, you're going to do just fine. And the thing is, with Delina and Breaker of Armies, when Delina makes that copy... She makes that copy before the declare blocker step. So if you're making the copy of Breaker of Armies, then Delina goes unpunished while everything blocks Breaker of Armies. So
It's just pseudo protection.
It's a great card. The only bad side is that it costs 8.
This deck's
mono red.
This deck's mana curve is pretty skewed.
We can still hit our rocks and roll, but we are gonna have a little bit of a hard time getting there. Hence why we hold Delina back until later, so that when she gets killed, she doesn't cost 10 or 8.
We do a significant amount of sandbagging.
Yeah, we do a minuscule amount of trolling. Cool. Let's keep on moving down our list. These are more of your combat tricks. You talked about Ember Cleave. Ember Cleave's pretty popular nowadays, hence the $10 price tag.
It's a card that's easily cut if you want a budget option, but what it does is it gives Delina a double strike.
Yep.
You can get her. It's not going to cost 6 mana because let's say you make 2 tokens even, and you have another third creature attacking with. That only costs 3 mana to give Delina +1/+1 and double strike.
Yep.
That turns her from a 3/2 into an 8/4 essentially.
If you don't feel like paying the $10 price tag of Ember Cleave, then definitely consider Critical Hit, which is an instant from this set. For it's like Teamer Battle Rage, which is one of my favorite cards, and Teamer Battle Rage could go in here as well. But absolutely could go in this deck, right? Dude, I would love to Teamer Battle Rage as the Breaker of Armies and just wipe their board.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make, Critical Hit says, pay 1 and a red. Target creature gains double strike. If you roll a natural 20...
Which we're rolling dice
You're
anyways.
already rolling dice. If there's a deck that this goes into, Delina probably runs it.
If I was a better deck builder or could remember the card, it probably would have been in this deck.
That being said, is Critical Hit better than Ember Cleave?
No.
Probably not. But this is kind of, if Dakota had just a bunch of money lying around to build this deck...
This is going to be my next deck that I'm going to build, and it's just going to happen kind of slowly.
Yeah. And we've got a couple other combat tricks here. We've got our Hellkite Tyrant to steal all of their treasures.
Yep. I mean, you make it...
They're going to sacrifice their treasures. That's a bad example. But you're going to take all their
Everybody has... Especially in my meta, because Tyler here, he likes his 2-mana ramp.
Yep.
Most of that comes from artifacts, unless he's in green.
Yep.
Just take those artifacts. I'm going to get a giant target on my back. If you're playing this deck right, you're probably going to have a target on your back anyways.
Yep, and if you start making copies of Hellkite Tyrant, then you can start going after more people at the same time.
Yep.
And also, don't neglect that it is a 6/5 flying trample for 6.
Yep.
Not a bad rate.
The nice thing is, even let's say you get lucky and can make 2 copies of Hellkite Tyrant, you don't have to send them at the same person. You get to declare them attacking 2 different people.
And also, don't underestimate that you're going to make copies of artifacts.
Yep.
So it can actually add up quite quick. And then it has, at the bare minimum, Hellkite Tyrant says, pay 4 red, pull a removal spell out of one of your opponent's hands.
Yeah.
So whatever. If they want to remove it, they got to remove it. Ilharg the Raise Boar. I actually was surprised to see this guy's about $10 as well. Or at least almost 9.
I'm happy I have a copy of him just sitting in my rares box.
He's sitting in my God Tribal deck, and it is not a very good deck.
But it is a deck.
It sure is. It sure is a deck. Ilharg says, pay 3 red, you get a trampling 6/6 Boar God, which is incredibly based. Whenever it attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield, tapped and attacking, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. That's kind of sneak attack.
Kind of. It's a worse sneak attack. My biggest question about Ilharg is it's a boar, right?
Yes.
If they take away my ARs, how am I supposed to kill it?
No. You just only get a 1-round magazine for the 1 boar in your yard.
You're right. It's
but how am I going to kill all these 30 boars that are in my yard?
He's going to have friends. He's bringing more boars.
That's why you need extended mags on your AR, is for when there's 18 Ilhargs in your and they're sneak attacking in Olamogs, which we're not running because he's $80.
He's $80. I might be selling one this weekend if we go to Abu Games.
Bro,
sponsored by ABU Games.
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored, but we're working on it.
We're trying to. They're at least going to let us put a poster up if we can get those printed. Yo,
Ilharg says instead of paying $8 mana for a Breaker of Armies, just get it for free.
Yep.
And you can stack the triggers to where the creature that enters the battlefield. You can't stack the triggers because
I was wondering,
combat.
Can you?
We're not good at deck building.
Hold on, though. Can you stack the triggers? Like, let's say you've got Delina and Ilharg out. You can send both. Can you stack the triggers so that Ilharg resolves first and puts something onto the battlefield? Then Delina gets
Delina says at the beginning of combat.
No, it says when it attacks.
Oh, okay, good. I am good at deck building. It does work like that.
You're good at deck building, just not remembering. Yeah, so
I am certified retarded.
Use Ilharg to, quote-unquote, sneak attack your Colossus of Akros, your Breaker of Armies, your Olamog the Infinite Gyre, if you own one, onto the battlefield. And
just make a copy with a baby.
Make the copy. At the bare minimum, you're getting one copy, and then hopefully it sticks around if you get lucky. Opportunistic Dragon. This is one of the cheaper dragons, actually, for only 2 and a red and a quarter out of your pocket.
It's Conquering Manticore, but better.
How so?
Because Conquering Manticore says gain control of that creature until end of turn.
Yes.
Opportunistic Dragon says gain control until it leaves the battlefield. So your copies, they're going to get that card back that you steal with the copies, but the card you take with your original Opportunistic Dragon, you just keep.
Here's the thing, though. Opportunistic Dragon only takes an artifact or a human. Cut it, Teamer Battle Rage.
Cut it, Teamer Battle Rage.
Teamer Battle Rage, baby.
Reading the card explains the card. I am certified.
I just looked out of the corner of my eye and saw choose target human. Now, that's actually relevant because humans
is the most common type.
Humans are all over. I think it might actually be, but humans are all over the place.
In this magical fantasy land, the most common creature is in fact human-based species survivalist. Let's go.
And red-pilled because we're playing a red deck.
Right.
But you can just steal an artifact.
That's true. It's what is it? It's Hellkite Tyrant Part 2.
Electric Boogaloo. Rage Nimbus for 3.
It's a mini Colossus of Acros with a little bit of evasion. It's only 3 mana, so it's pretty cheap. And it has an extra value of, let's say you, for whatever reason, they have a creature, like we said earlier, they don't want to attack with. You can make them attack with it. They have just a big blocker they're holding up with it.
Yep.
You can make it attack, so that way you might be able to get a free attack with Delina. Just a little bit of extra value there.
Yep. Or bare minimum, it forces them to tap their Osgear to do his effect then, rather than wait. And now their 4/4s tap down for other people to go through and hit them. Yeah, Rage Nimbus is really cool. For 3 mana, I mean, Magical Christmas Land, turn 1, turn 2, get your Rage Nimbus out if you've ramped. Turn 3, Delina, and then if you can haste her, great.
Yep.
If you can't, whatever. This is one of your lower drops that you can actually get copied up quick.
Right.
And it's a 5/3 flyer. Come on. Get mad. Terror of Mount Velis for $6 and 7 mana.
It just got reprinted, so I think it's going to go down. Mm-hmm. But it says, when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. So it's 7 mana. It's a 7 mana 10/10.
Whoa.
It gives Delina double strike. If you make a copy of it, you make 2 copies of it. You know, that's a lot of damage.
Hold on, though. It doesn't become a 10/10 effectively. It's already got double strike, so it's just going to be...
But it already
is. Gotcha. Yeah, he's going to swing for 10 damage anyway.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah,
it's got evasion, so it's going to be hard to block.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice to just say goodbye to a 4th of somebody's life total.
Right.
Now, this boy's a banger. Traxos, Scourge of Kruge. We've already touched on him a little bit. We'll just give you the quick rundown. He's 4 cost, 7/7 Trampler.
He's Colossus of Sardia that's easier to untap on a normal basis.
Yes. And when you... Oh, no, not when you make the copies, because you have to cast a historic spell.
Yep. But, I mean, as you can tell from this deck, about half of it is artifacts.
Yeah, it's half red, half gray.
Yeah.
So when you cast your Chariot of Victory, and then go to equip it, you're going to have an untapped Traxos to play with. Now, here's a kind of a weaker side of the deck.
Yeah.
The removal package. We focus so hard into Delina that we don't actually have a really good removal package, except for being able to do funny tricks with, like, Breaker of Armies and getting things out like the Meteor Golem or the Inferno Titan.
Duplicate Exiles. A nice little spice effect is Spite Boas, which will do 6 damage to a creature when it leaves the battlefield. It doesn't care if it dies.
Yeah, so there's some sauce everywhere else. But for the most part, the 2 that are in here that are just off by themselves, Chaos Warp. Now, let me tell you a story about Chaos Warp. Buckle in.
Oh, God.
So we were playing a 5-player game of Commander. I was playing my colorless deck. Dakota Chaos Warps my Olamog the Ceaseless Hunger. I shuffle it, or I don't shuffle it because it's my commander. I go ahead and put it into my command zone. And then I'm shuffling to find a card. And what do I flip over but Emrakul?
Stinking Emrakul. Listen, man, I was at like 10 life. All right, I had to try something.
Not the band Emrakul. Kate showed up first day of game night and said, yes, today I will play Baral Chief of Compliance Eldrazi Tribal.
Which is already just a bitch of a deck.
Yeah, which is while it might be incredibly based, we still had a problem to do it. We didn't tell her she couldn't play Emrakul, but we're like, that's banned, right? And she got all embarrassed. She probably is going to get mad at us for saying this, but, if we didn't love her, we wouldn't pick on her. Besides Chaos Warp, Blasphemous Act.
Yeah.
It's going to cost 1.
Yeah, it's going to cost.
It's going to cost 1. Unfortunately, it's going to blow up Delina.
Yeah. But if you have to cast Blasphemous Act, you probably don't care if your Delina dies.
Yep. If you're worried about that, cut it. Team your battle rage, baby.
Opportunistic Dragon could probably get cut. Add in another removal spell. Star of Extinction. Something like that.
A ton, but... man, I sure wish Delina could make copies of artifacts.
That would be cool.
That'd be really cool. And then I'd say run Spine of Ishsaw alongside your Meteor Golem.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. Let's go ahead. We'll talk about the Spice Package afterwards. Let's hit the ramp really quick. Let's just get the rundown. I'll give you the name, and you read it off for me super fast. Ready? Arcane Signet.
Tap, add 1 color of any of your colors. Commander's color identity.
You wet the bed.
I wet the bed.
Okay, that's all right. It costs 2. Also, it's awesome. Burnished Heart.
3 mana. Play it. 3 mana. Sack it. Go find 2 lands.
Yep. Commander Sphere.
3 mana. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Sack it to draw a card
Base.
in a pinch.
Curse Mirror.
Cursed Mirror is, I feel, a card that is not getting as much love in a lot of places, but I feel like it should.
Yeah, it's definitely
you got
gone
a
up in
Cursed
price.
Mirror, you know what? It has. I remember when I was pre-ordering for $1. You do a Cursed Mirror, drop it, make a copy of Tower of Mount Velis, late game or early game, you just get a 3 mana rock.
Yeah, or make a copy of your Breaker of Armies and swing for 20 on somebody.
Yep.
At the bare minimum, Cursed Mirror is a strictly better manalith in this deck.
Yes.
Because it is a mono red deck. Fire Diamond.
Enters tapped, add 1 red.
Yep, only costs 2 mana. Geyser.
Mana Geyser helps for those explosive turns where you want Delina out. Normally after like maybe a board wipe or somebody, something to where you can get Delina out, get another creature out. You add 1 red for each tapped land all of your opponent's control.
It's going to make you 20 mana sometimes.
It's going to make your 20 mana.
It's at least going to make you like 10. And if it's not going to make you 10, you're not casting it.
Jessica's Will could easily swap into this deck, but it's like $13.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good card. It absolutely goes in this deck, but we try to keep a certain budget in mind.
Speaking of which,
Speaking
Ruby
of screwing the
Medallion.
budget, Ruby Medallion. This is an ad that Tyler made because there needed to be a cut, and we ended up cutting 2.
Yep. Ruby Medallion is the best ramp spell in red, probably.
Yeah, if you're playing mono red,
it just makes all your red spells cost 1 less to cast.
Discounting a price is arguably much more powerful than just making a mana.
Yep, because it's going to save you more than 1 mana in a turn.
It has that potential to save you 5 red in a turn. That's poggers. Soul Ring, don't
we
even
all know
read
what
it.
Soul Ring does.
Solemn Simulacrum.
We all know what it does.
Some people don't know what it does. It enters, it ramps you, it leaves, it draws a card.
When it dies, it draws a card.
Oh,
it is
you're
not
right,
very effective with Delina, unfortunately, with the exile
because she
effect.
says exile.
Yep.
Damn. But still, you're still making it enter and then
Yep.
ramping. That's ramp. That's the secret ramp tech. Speaking of ramp tech,
Sword of Animist, it's expensive, but it just got a reprint, so hopefully it drops back down to... Every time it gets reprinted, it drops down to about $5, and then immediately goes back up to about $14.
this is a $5 card because it's going to take 4 mana to equip, and then you have to swing. Now it takes 2 mana to equip is the actual cost, but it costs 2, so you're going to have a significant chunk of your time dedicated to getting this on something. Treasonous Ogre. Nobody seems to know about Treasonous Ogre.
It's so... Tyler, I'll be honest, I didn't really know about it until I started playing with you, and I saw it in a couple of your decks, and I said, wow, I need
What
that
deck
card.
am I? Oh, I'm running it in Torbrand.
Yep.
Yeah, because I pulled it in Secret Late, or the Mystery Boosters.
Yep. And it just says, pay through life, add 1 to your mana pool. It's not very sustainable, but if at end of the game, or even at the beginning of the game, you can get this down on turn 2. You can have, I mean, you'll cut your life down to 20, but what's a Delina and a Traxos on turn 3?
Yep, I heard that. Also, Dethrone. We're not even going to read it. We don't care. Unstable Obelisk.
The weakest mana rock we probably have.
But
I like value. It says pay 7, sacrifice it, destroy target permanent. Red has trouble, especially with things like enchantments, big creatures.
And it is a rattlesnake.
Yep.
Because you start waving your tail around. Ooh, I've got 7 mana open. I can tap and blow up anything I want.
Targets land. Somebody has a Field of the Dead.
Urborg. Cabal Coffers.
Yavimaya. That's not that good, but
it's still a pretty land, and you can just spit in their face to their new card. Okay, let's talk about the card advantage. We've got a fairly decent card advantage package.
And we have extra ways to get card advantage in other places of the deck, too.
Yeah, there's a little sauce on the
side. A lot
side.
of the ETB effects have card advantage. Mask of Memory. very popular in Boros decks. Doesn't see as much play as I think in like mono color decks, mono white deck.
It definitely needs to go in Darien. I just don't own a copy.
Elish Norn, rest in peace, Elish Norn. Still can't find her.
It's been like 3 weeks and Dakota cannot find his Elish Norn. So if you just found an Elish Norn deck somewhere around, well, you probably don't play Magic. So you're like, what the hell is this? Anyways, Mask of Memory is
deals
good.
Combat damage, draw 2 cards, and then discard a card. The nice thing about that is it doesn't force you to discard before. It's not rummaging; it's actually looting. So that's pretty helpful.
Outpost Siege. Now, a lot of people they tote that Outpost Siege. Oh no, it's overrated. It's overrated. I don't think so, because anything that makes you look at more cardboard is good in my opinion.
And I mean, what's better? Discarding a card to draw a card.
Yep.
Or just getting an extra card return.
Yep.
It's
now
conditional.
You might say, yeah, okay, I'm putting it in the discard. How am I going to get it back? We're not reanimating.
Yeah.
We're not reanimating. We don't care about reanimating.
Yep.
What we care about is seeing stuff.
Yep. I mean, if Outpost Siege exiles your Breaker of Army, oh no, okay, pull out your Colossus of Akros. You don't care.
I mean, it comes out turn 4-ish, and then it's going to let you see, like, let's say the game goes on until about turn 10 or so. That's 6 to 5 cards you're going to get.
Here's the thing. Nobody blows up Outpost Siege.
Nope.
Nobody blows it up.
And you're in mono red, so you're going to take everything you can get, honestly.
Right?
You know, I think Outpost Siege is a very, very good card. I'm going to move on down the list. Seize the Spoils.
Speaking of discarding, discard a card and then draw 2 cards, but you also create a treasure token.
Refunds 1 of that. That's nice.
I'm willing to pay the 1 extra than like, what's it called? Not
You're thinking Catharic Reunion,
or
Tormenting Voice.
I'm willing to pay the 1 extra to get that treasure and less cards because this deck is so mana hungry.
Yep, because then on your next turn you might get from 6 to 7.
Yep.
And that's a Terror of Mount Velis,
Right.
wherever he is. I can't remember what
Yeah,
option. But he's down here. Yeah, he is 7. I was right.
He's 7.
Terror of Mount Velis. Okay, moving down the list. Tome of Legends. Dakota had to talk me into this one.
I think it's pretty good, especially in a deck that it's attacking and your commander is relatively cheap. 2 mana, when it enters the battlefield, put a page counter on it. Whenever your commander, ETBs or attacks, put a page counter on it. Then you can pay 1 and tap it to draw a card if you remove a page counter. This deck's all about attacking. You're going to be putting counters on it.
Yep.
I mean, this deck is very commander heavy. It's not one of those decks that can kind of function without your commander.
Yeah.
It's all kind of a weakness of mine is I build my decks very specifically around my commanders.
It's kind of hard to do when you fall in love with a character or an idea that a character represents.
Like, this was really the only commander out of Adventures in Forgotten Realms that I actually really wanted to build.
I'm just gonna call it the D&D set.
The D&D set.
I gotta be honest with you.
It's so many words.
I cannot be bothered to Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Shall we adjourn to the dungeon?
Remember when it was just Rivals of Ixalan? What happened to 3 words?
Dude, Rivals of Ixalan. Remember when it was just Ixalan, that guy?
I do remember. Shout out to Geshath.
Yeah, Geshaft. He's Geshafted me a couple times, so you know what I'm saying. Speaking of which, you need to put the Tarask from this set in there, because then you just drop a 9/9 for free and it fights.
I'm thinking about it.
I've been thinking about it a lot. Unexpected Windfall.
See all the notes on Seize the Spoils. It does the same exact thing. This time it's an instant, though, so you can hold up some mana, sandbag a little bit.
Teabag a little bit. You've been playing too much Halo.
So just creates treasures, and this time you still discard 1 card, but you draw 2 cards now.
Which is awesome. I think you still draw 2 cards in Seize the Spoils.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. So it just gets you 2 more treasures. Again, this deck's pretty mana hungry. Those treasures can be helpful.
Yep. And an instant. It's not bad to just crack it at the end of somebody's turn. Valakut Awakening. It can also be a land.
Yep.
Oh, I clicked too many times. We don't care. It says,
put any number of cards from your hand on the onto the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. It's pretty simple. You have 3 lands. It's late game. Pitch it, get 4 new cards.
Excellent. Valakut Exploration.
Valakut Exploration is the same exact thing as Outpost Siege, except instead of at the beginning of your upkeep, it's whenever you play a land, you exile the top card. But now this time it actually has extra value because it says at the beginning of your end step, if you have cards exiled with Valakut Exploration, you put them into your graveyard, and it deals that much damage to any target.
Which is really, really cool.
So, you get your burner start out, you play it, you get let's say 3 exile. It comes out, you blow up somebody's Land of War Elves, or you deal 3 damage to their face. It's not that much extra value, but 1/1s can be a problem sometimes.
When I talked about Outpost Siege and we're not reanimating, well, there is one way we're reanimating, and that's with Felden. Valakut says, oh, I can't cast this Breaker of Armies. Well, it'll get into exile, it'll come back out of exile, it'll go into the graveyard. And then if you want, you can Felden it later. Versus Outpost Siege cannot do that. So, kind of some cool tech. Okay, we've moved through pretty much everything.
Well, we still have...
We have the Leave the Battlefield, we have Enter the Battlefield.
And then we have Spice.
Yes. Let's try to blast through it. So, Leave the Battlefield effect, Spite Bellows.
Oh, it's 5 in a red, and it says when it leaves the battlefield, it'll do 6 damage to target creature. You can also evoke it for 1 and 2 red, which says when it enters the battlefield, it's immediately sacrificed. Probably not doing that in a pinch. You can.
Yep.
The nice thing is that because Spite Bellows says leaves the battlefield and not goes to the graveyard, tokens will trigger that effect.
Yes.
So you make 2 tokens of it, they die. Congrats! Now you got 6 6s.
You just killed a Kozilek the Great Distortion.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Varchild, what a great card.
Varchild is... I was thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about it. I was using Scryfall looking at leaves the battlefield triggers. Let's say you make 2 copies of... let's say you make 1 copy of Varchild, right?
Mm-hmm.
You swing with both of them. They get through 6 survivors.
Yes.
You just created 6 1/1s.
For that player.
Yep.
Okay.
So then Varchild, the copy, leaves the battlefield. You get all 6 of those that you got, plus you still have your original Varchild.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome.
Normally with Varchild, you have to either blink it or it has to die.
Yeah, and I mean, good grief, you're not just taking the ones that Varchild made either.
Yeah.
You're taking all of them. That's
Exactly.
so cool.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep making them.
Well, I mean, does people want to kill a 3/3?
Yeah, they don't really care.
I mean, do
And
they
also
care about your Varchild or your...
In the meantime, before they deal with your 3/3, they've got survivors that cannot attack you.
Yeah.
So they're going to send them somewhere. I don't think they can block either. Survivors
you
your
can't
opponent's
block.
control can't block. But your survivors can absolutely attack freely and block when you control them.
Yep.
Great card. All right. You have a whole section marked Enter the Battlefield effects.
Yes.
I'm going to move from the bottom up to the top. Warstorm Surge for 6.
This is also pseudo removal, pseudo burn. It gives creatures that would enter the battlefield Traxos, let's say. Congrats, deal 7 damage to somebody's face. You don't even have to attack. I mean, it's attacking, but you don't even have to deal combat damage.
You can also just what's the word on Spite Bellows? Evoke.
Yep.
Yeah, you evoke your Spite Bellows in.
Deal 12
you're
damage,
gonna deal
something for 3 mana.
Yeah, or 6 to a player and then 6 to another thing. Siege Gang Commander.
Enters the battlefield, creates 3 goblins, but it also has the added benefit of you can pay 1 in a red, sacrifice a goblin, deal 2 damage to something.
Get rid of a hate bear. Red Dragon.
Red Dragon, we needed a spot. I wanted this card anyways in this deck. Tyler reminded me of it. Thank you, Tyler.
You got you.
4 mana 2/2, 4 mana red for a 4/4 dragon. And it says when it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent.
I can't remember what the name of that card is, but there is a 1 in a red sorcery that deals 4 to each opponent. I can't remember the name of it, but that is this on a stick.
And 4 damage will add up quick.
That's 10% of your life total each
Yep.
time. So a couple of those and you'll get somebody's attention. Precursor Golem for 5.
Tyler likes this card. I don't like it as much because I feel like it's super easy to get it blown out.
Yes.
But what's a common removal spell?
Swords of Plowshare.
Oh, just gain 9 life.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, because it copies it for each.
Oh, it sure does.
Oh, somebody path to
Chaos
exile. Oh, yeah. Unless it's straight.
Yeah,
just
they better,
says
if
kill.
they got a murder, yeah. Well,
Okay,
they're
you're good.
gone. They're
But,
gone.
I mean, the nice thing, you make copies of it. You're getting it's Siege Gang Commander, except now you're making 3/3s.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if they do go to exile this will get rid of your Colossus of Akros, your Colossus of Sardia,
It does.
and your Meteor Golem.
It has the potential to get blown.
I have one question, Dakota. Who asked?
I don't remember asking.
Exactly. Next card. Plundering Barbarian.
Plundering Barbarian is something that I like to call does 2 things at once. It gives me removal and it gives me ramp.
But not at the same time.
Not at the same time, but I didn't say that.
Yes, you said 2 things at once.
It does.
It
Just
gives
not
you
at
the
the same
option.
time.
It's a common. It's
It
a
is
common from D&D set.
Yep, you blink it, you create a treasure, or you destroy target artifact. Ultimately, you know, if you're ending up blinking that with Delina, either you need mana to do a big play next turn, or somebody's got a problem. Somebody has their With a Form engine out. Somebody has a Sword of the Animist, which target Sword of the Animist, blow it up. It's going to get them 3 or 4 lands in the game if you don't.
Yep. Cool card. If you don't feel like running it and you have money, stick a Vandal Blast in for it, because that'll basically do what you're doing with that. This one just has the variance of it gives you a treasure, which is cool. Mirror Battlesphere.
Mirror Battlesphere is lit.
Making a token copy of Mirror... See Brutaclad.
See Brutaclad.
Go look up anybody's Brutaclad deck. They're running Mirror Battlesphere.
The nice thing about that is also an attack trigger.
So you can stack that.
You can stack it.
Oh,
and you're going to get 1
no.
extra. So you're going to be able to deal 8 damage to somebody's face.
Oh my goodness. And it says tap any number of untapped mirror. Yeah, so you play your Mirror Battlesphere, you attack with Delina, make a copy of Mirror Battlesphere, and then this Mirror Battlesphere says when it attacks you can tap the untapped mirror. Secret tech, untap the original, or tap the original Mirror Battlesphere and pump it up 1 more. Let's go!
Because it enters the battlefield
We freaking
with 4
got
mirrors.
there!
You tap, and when it attacks, you tap any number of mirrors, and it deals that much damage, and
It's
it gets
so-
+X+O.
It's so out of hand, and on your next turn you've got, what, 8?
Yeah.
8 1/1 mirrors.
They better have a board wipe.
I've always said Mir growing up, but I've heard that it's Mirror.
I've always said it mirror.
As in Mirrodin.
One of us is stupid.
It's probably me in this instance. But we get there. Meteor Golem, it enters, it destroys target non-land permanent, fuck off. Inferno Titan. Sorry, I tried to keep a straight face, but I thought it was
This
funny.
art for Inferno Titan's only like $3-4.
Poggers.
Yeah, the regular one's like $2. Get the cool art.
For a 6/6 with fire breathing when it enters or attacks. Unfortunately, if you make a copy of the Inferno Titan, this is one of those examples of you will not get to lightning bolt something.
But that is true. But it enters the battlefield,
and you will get to
So
lightning
you will
bolt
get
something
those.
then. And on your next turn, if you got lucky and hit the 25% chance of keeping it, you're gonna get to.
you don't get to keep them regardless.
What?
No. All of them have. It's just how many you
is that
create.
how that works?
Yep. I know. I had
This whole time I've thought if you hit the 25% chance, you just get to make
You
it.
know, they really should have put the 20 on there as you get to just keep it.
But then hold on, is that correct? Because
Yeah. Because it says create another one of those tokens.
no, it says create one of those tokens.
Yeah, and that token has exile this creature at the end of combat.
But then what's the point of making it if you're not gonna
Because
make
then you
an
get to
attack?
roll the dice again. That's how you make more than one in a turn.
Yeah, but then they all die.
Yeah.
So then we're just focusing on the ETBs and rather than just making those boys.
Generally, and most
Are
of these,
you sure that's how that works?
Yep, and most of these ETBs, I mean, Inferno Titan's a 6/6 that you're attacking with.
Huh. Wild. That's crazy. I didn't realize that until now. Still, this deck is going to mess people up because we've got so much enter the battlefield synergies. Duplicate.
It has imprint, so when it enters the battlefield, exile a creature.
Yes.
It has to be non-token, which is kind of a weird thing. I don't know why. I think it's because tokens can't exist in exile, so then it just turns into a 2/4. But then duplicate becomes a copy of that creature's power and toughness, not the creature.
Yep.
So it's just a removal. It's 6 mana. It's as best as you're going to get in red for single target creature removal.
Great way to get rid of somebody's indestructible commander.
Yep.
Like Rafik when he inevitably gets the plates on him.
Yep.
Dockside Extortionist.
This is $74.99 according to Card Kingdom.
The
Use it
$75 price
if
tag,
you have
yeah.
it, or if you are like us and spend way too much money on this game. If not, swap it for some other creature that enters the battlefield. Put in a Terror of the Peaks, which is saving you $40 for $30.
Yeah, usually I don't call Terror of the Peaks a budget cut.
Well, compared
to the Dockside,
it is.
It desperately needs a reprint.
Put in the Teamer Battle Rage.
Put in the Teamer Battle Rage. I wish they'd have put it into Commander Legends. It really felt like it fit there.
Yeah, or I mean, Draconic,
put
the
that
new
in.
Commander deck. They could have swapped. They could have put it in. They probably didn't have time to put it in.
Yeah.
Depending on.
It would have been cool. Just give it to us somewhere, Wizards. Wizards,
Right.
please. Demanding Dragon for 5.
I like this little boy. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's just a 3 mana or 3 and 2 red for 5/5 5 mana 5/5, but it deals 5 damage or they sacrifice a creature. That's pretty cool to me. It's not that great of a card. Why it's 39 cents. I just have kind of a soft spot for it.
If you've got something better, cut it. Slap in what's a really good enter the battle.
Terror of the Peaks.
Terror of the Peaks. We keep going back to that one. We kind of talked about Combustible Gearhulk earlier, but we'll hit it again. For 6 mana, you get
a 6/6 with first strike, and when it enters the battlefield, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If that player doesn't, you mill 3, and it deals combat damage. It deals damage equal to all 3 of those spells CMC combined to that player.
So
the average CMC in this deck is 4. That's 12 damage.
I mean, yeah, that's an average of 12 damage, I guess, wouldn't it?
I
don't know how statistics work.
In magical Christmas land, right? What happens if they mill the Colossus of Sandia, the Colossus of Akros, and the Breaker of Armies?
Oh my goodness, there's no way, but yeah,
that's 25 damage.
That would be amazing. Yeah, and if they don't, great. They just refilled your hand.
Yeah,
at least halfway. 3 cards is huge, and you know what? If they didn't like it the first time, it's going to happen again. You're going to make copies. All right. We are on to the last category.
Which is called the spice.
The spicy.
Very nice.
The ball. I'm going from the bottom up. Whisper Silk Cloak for 3.
It's protection and unblockable. It lets her survive longer. Make sure it doesn't matter who you swing at then. You have a good attack with Delina.
Absolutely. Sundial the Infinite, some great tech.
Sundial the Infinite says, pay 1 and end the turn. Activate this ability on your turn. The way that ending the turn works is you go straight to your cleanup step. So what that does is any actually that's not true. It goes to your end, or does it go to the, what does it say?
It says exile all spells and abilities on the stack. Discard down to your maximum hand size. Damage wears off, and this turn and until the end of the turn effects end.
Yeah, so it does take you to the cleanup step then. What that says is, oh, okay, Delina made 2 copies of Morag Fury of the Coon.
Yes.
What happens is they say exile. You have your Sundial Infinite out. You pay 1 and tap it. Those triggered abilities go off the step. They don't exist. And guess what you get to keep? Your Morag Fury of Coon. You play a land next turn, congrats, you got 2 lands. And they're not legendaries.
And you know what you're doing after that is you're swinging and winning the game.
Yeah.
That's what's probably going to happen.
Sundial Infinite is something that you need to hold up and use immediately. Don't try and last a turn with it.
It only costs
get
3 to pull it out of your hand and do it.
And it is probably the strongest effect in this.
It's crazy. It makes me wish we had put in a tutor effect to go get it. I don't know what we can do. I don't know. We could gamble.
Yeah.
We could gamble.
But gamble's like a $20 card.
It is $20 card.
And this deck's expensive enough.
Ideally, what Sundial the Infinite says is if you can't end the turn, then somebody is going to pull a removal. Somebody's going to beast within
Somebody's going to, yeah.
Somebody's going to beast within it. And then just start making copies of the beast within. That won't do anything. That won't do anything. You're not gonna make. It doesn't help you to make 3/3 beasts. Stronic Resonator, however,
just says do Delina again.
Yep. So
then
you get to roll a whole other
2
time.
mana. You're at least getting another token.
So do you want to copy this when it goes on the rolling goes on the stack, or you want to copy it afterwards?
So I think the way it works is you'd have to copy the first one, because I'm not cool. So I was watching a video about this yesterday about linked abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that those 2 first abilities are linked to the beginning ability.
Yeah,
so I think you'd have to
choose one.
Yep. I think you'd have to
go for your first one.
Yeah.
I don't think you could get saucy and say, "Oh, now that I have hit my 15 to 20 to create one of those tokens,
correct,
roll again."
Yeah, you have to. I think you have to do the. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe each one triggers separately.
At its floor, this is great, like we just explained it. At its ceiling, it only gets better. Let's talk about Scourge of the Throne. For 4 and red, you get a 5/5 flyer. When it enters, you become the monarch. Wait, hold on. When it attacks for the first time each turn,
it has dethrone.
Oh.
But when it attacks each turn, what does it do?
When it attacks, you become the monarch. Right?
Yeah. No.
I can't read today.
When it attacks, if it's attacking the player that has the most life, then you get an additional combat step.
Oh my gosh. Which means more Delinas.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that's cool. I like that a lot. And it just got no, it didn't get reprinted, did it? It was Skyline Despo's the one.
Yep.
That got reprinted.
Then that's the one that creates dragons if you're the monarch.
Man, that would be really cool. Port Razor.
Port Razor is just a budget way to get additional combat steps. When it deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. It can't attack a player it's already attacked this turn. You don't really care about that. You just want that a couple extra combats.
If you don't like the $5 price of Port Razor, then look into Fury of the Horde. It's like 5 and red to cast, but it also says you can exile 2 red cards out of your hand rather than pay for it, and then you get an extra combat, just like Port Razor. Morag we touched on, you landfall, and then you get an extra combat.
Yep. Important note with Morag, play the land on during your second main phase. Otherwise, any creature you attacked with during your normal combat phase will not untap during the second combat phase. Very important.
Yes. Lithoform Engine. What's this primarily in for? It's got 3 abilities.
It's Strionic Resonator plus extra.
Yes.
I can copy her ability for 2.
Yep.
I can pay 3 to copy an instant or sorcery, which there's not there's not a lot in this deck.
Yeah, you can Chaos Warp more than once.
Yeah. Or you can pay 4 to copy target permanent I control. I made a non-token copy of I want another Combustible Gearhulk. You get another Combustible Gearhulk.
Here's the thing. It says copy target permanent spell you control. Now,
does the spell have to be on the stack to do that?
It is on the stack if you want to do that. So now you've got, this is a later game. You're going to whip this out because it's 4 extra to do that.
Yep.
It's going to be hard, but you can absolutely get some bangers going because we're already made for Enter the Battlefield triggers.
That's really only in here for Strionic Resonator Part 2.
Yes. Leyline Tyrant, another low-costed dragon.
Leyline Tyrant, 2 and 2 mana for a 2 and 2 red. Keep doing that. Is a 4/4.
Yes.
And it says you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. You play it on turn 4. Turn 5, you play Delina, you have a red, you keep it. Nobody, with the stuff you're dropping, Leyline Tyrant's not really going to become much of a target. Mm-hmm. And if it does, any red mana that you have in your floating pool, when it dies, unfortunately if they exile, you don't get this effect.
Yep.
But if it dies, you can pay any amount of red. And when you do, it deals that much damage to your target. You just nuke somebody for 8, 9.
So there comes a point where it's like, okay, I'm going to murder your Leyline Tyrant. Are you sure you want to murder my Leyline Tyrant? Because you're going to take 20. Mm-hmm. That can happen. I've seen it happen before. Helm of the Host.
This is probably top 3 favorite cards.
This is like Dakota's pet card.
It is one of my pet cards. I have it in way too many decks. Don't care, though.
I mean, if it's good.
4 mana legendary equipment.
There's a reason it's $20.
And it equips for 5. So this is a 9 mana effect, essentially. But it says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature. Except that token isn't legendary. If the equipped creature is legendary, that token gains haste. You just make more Delinas, baby.
Make more Delinas or make more Varchilds or Traxoses.
Yeah, you just don't care.
Yeah.
Honey Badger don't care.
Honey Badger don't. Flame Shadow Conjuring for 4.
Whenever a non-token creature ETBs, you may pay 1 red. That's it. 1 red. If you do, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. That token gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Remember how we said we have to pay 4 for Helm of the Host? Or not Helm of the Host, for Lithoform Engine?
Yes.
Just pay 1 red instead.
Just pay 1. And you know what? If you've got a legendary creature that has an Enter the Battlefield effect, you can just get it anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if we have any legendaries that have ETBs. I think I built it so we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, but in the event that you have something that's legendary that you want the Enter the Battlefield on, make the copy. The copy dies, but it's still entered the battlefield for the legendary rule to come into play. Mm-hmm. Great way to get extra ETBs.
If you have your Conquering Manticore out, you can make a copy of their creature that you stole.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. But it's not entering the battlefield under your control,
Isn't it?
No, it's just changing.
Control?
It's already entered the battlefield.
I am not smart at Magic the Gathering.
No, it's okay. We're late into the deck tech, man. Things go on. We got 2 more cards before we wrap this thing up. Felled into the Third Path.
As we touched on with Valkyrie Exploration, it's just 2 and a red to tap it to create a token that's a copy of target creature in your graveyard, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste. Sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. He doesn't care if it's legendary or not. He just says, create a Traxos that has haste. Create a Combustible Gearhulk. Create a Dockside Extortionist. Create an Inferno Titan for 3 mana.
And then end the turn with your Sundial of the Infinite
and you just keep the token.
Man, a great commander in his own right. And you know what?
Shout out to the professor.
Yeah, a kind of a unique commander as well. There's a really interesting episode on the lore of Felden of the Third Path.
It's really sad.
It's really sad, but that makes it. I mean, it's a good story.
Yeah.
Look up Felden of the Third Path lore episode on the Legendary Creature podcast. They did a great episode on it. And you know, Felden's really kind of unique because Red doesn't have a lot of Reanimator.
Nope.
It really doesn't.
And if you read his lore, you'll understand kind of why he gets it.
Super flavor.
It's back when Magic and Wizards actually cared about the stories of their sets.
Yeah, not just about being woke.
And their throwaway characters,
yep.
you know, and not just, let's have a 4-arc set on Ravnica about War of the Spark while also not diving into any of their characters' backstories. Yep. Who is the Wanderer?
Who is the Wanderer?
Until proven otherwise, I'm saying it's Ember Cleave. I don't care what anybody else says.
That's kind of a hot take.
Nah, there were some rumors that it's Ember Cleave.
Dude, how did we leave an uncommon from the D&D set for the last card in the deck?
Because it synergizes so much.
It's so good. Barbarian class for 1 red.
If you would roll dice, roll 2 instead, and then you choose which result you want.
That's really good. And
actually, technically, you ignore the lowest roll, but that just gives you another chance to get another copy.
Yep, and then you roll again. Yep. That's great. I don't know what the odds would...
I think it just turns it to a straight 50% chance then.
That's really cool.
Don't quote me on that odds. I haven't actually sat down and tried to do the math.
Yeah, we didn't pay attention in college.
If you level it up, which, I mean, if you do, you do. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains menace until end of turn.
That's a good way to make sure Delina's a bit more safe because she's going to kill more things on the way in.
They have to block it with 2 creatures. If somebody's has a Voltron deck or something, they only have 1 creature.
And finally...
And then for 2 and a red, to level up, just creatures you control have haste.
It's got Fervor strapped to it.
You want that anyways. But that is the deck.
Technically, we didn't. Did we talk about the haste enablers?
Oh crap! No, we are.
Oh
we
no,
left. We left the haste enablers.
Yeah, I know. That's why Anger's so angry, baby. You left me for last.
That is one of my favorite arts in Magic the Gathering.
So dumb.
Like, what is that?
It's like, so dumb, but it's so funny.
It looks like it's made out of clay. Like in real life, the actual card art looks like it's made out of clay, and it's just this weird little angry baby that's all chubby and angry and has a hammer.
Which, if you've been to a picnic with a small chubby child, you know that this is their natural state. Is anger and chaos. But he says as long as he's in your graveyard and you control a mountain, your stuff has haste.
Now, finding the mountain's the hard part.
My man, you're straight rotted right now. Chariot of Victory.
3 mana, equipped for 1. It's not as good as Lightning Greave, not as good as Swiftfoot Boots, but it's another option. But it gives your creature haste, trample, and more importantly, first strike.
Yep, it slaps that first strike onto Delina, and next thing you know, it becomes I want to block Delina. Well, it's not gonna. There's no point because I don't care about the damage, and she's gonna kill my creature.
The nice part about Delina is the opposite of Evictus's Mahdi. I went to attack with both of those creatures a bunch of times.
Yes.
But Evictus's Mahdi, 4 hits, they're dead.
Yes.
7 hits with Delina, they're dead. They are not concerned about a 3/2 coming at them, really. They're concerned about the attack.
Yeah. But they want to block to kill her.
Yeah. They would. What would you rather block? A 10/10 with Indestructible? Would you rather take 10 or would you rather take 3?
I would rather get that Breaker of Armies onto the battlefield and force them to block the 10/8 or whatever he is. Moving down the line, everybody knows what Lightning Greave does. You pay 2, you get it on the battlefield. Haste and Shroud equips for 0. Ogre Battle Driver, one of my favorite cards.
That can be fun in this deck because let's say you make a copy of Ogre Battle Driver.
They get haste and
you get a token. It gets +2/+0. Then let's say you get really lucky. You hit that 25% chance. You get a roll again, and you make another one. That one gets +4/+0 because there's 2 other Ogre Battle.
Oh my goodness! And you're
now it's a 7/3.
Oh my gosh. What a freaking... I forgot about the making multiple Ogre Battle
Drivers. Ogre Battle Drivers is going to get hated out, but you would rather have them kill Ogre Battle Driver than Delina, but it's also a very good card.
That's fine. Use your Beast Within on my 35-cent rare. Use
Such
it, coward.
a good card.
Swiftfoot Boots. Basically the same as Lightning Greaves. You pay 2, get it on the battlefield. You pay 1, hexproof and haste.
Slightly better because Shroud means you can't target your own creature to make copies of it for whatever reason, but be a smarter player to know that, hey, I can't do it if my Lightning Greaves are on there.
Yep.
There's Rogue Passage in the land section. Pay 4, tap it. Target creature gets unblockable, just the extra value.
War Room could get put into the draw section because it's set on this card. It says pay 3, tap it, pay 1 life, and draw a card.
It's great on the one hand. Mana base, as we've said in every deck tech we've ever made, you can put as much or as little money as into as possible.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you go to your LGS and say, hey, I'm built a commander deck. I don't have basic lands. They will give you basic lands.
I will give you basic lands if you...
send us an email.
Yeah, no, we're not. I can't be bothered to be mailing out basic lands just because people are like, yes, I would like basic lands from this obscure podcast that 4 people listen to.
Shout out to Randon, Kodiak, Sarah, and Kate.
Yes, for listening.
Our only friends that actually
and
listen.
to my mom for listening to the first 3 minutes before going, I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Yeah. But that's basically the deck.
That's Delina.
Dude.
She's the only commander who's interested in D&D.
Really?
None of them really did it
Out
for
of
me.
33 legends, it was the elf shaman.
It was the red elf.
Enter the battlefield effects.
You know, it's just I'm a little sweat for Enter the Battlefield effects. I only have 2 of those decks out of my 38. I need another one.
Dude, that's lit. Because the most excited commander I am for D&D might be Brunor Battlehammer, or whatever his name is.
Not Tiamat?
Tiamat's cool.
I think you have a story to tell about Tiamat.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, before we go, I'll tell the Tiamat story. So, I was thinking, whenever I open a pack of Magic, I think about what's in the set and what is the best possible thing I could open from this pack that would make me happy. Just a thought that goes through my head, because sometimes we like to buy nerd lottery tickets and just buy packs. So we go into our LGS Pro Soul games. They're awesome. And I bought a pre-release kit and a couple packs from the boys. And what I did was I was going through, and Dakota's talking to the guy up front. Sarah's looking at dice, and I'm opening up my pre-release kit. And I opened some cool stuff.
What was your pre-release card?
My pre-release card. I forgot about that. My pre-release card was Delina Wild Mage.
You traded it to me.
Yeah, because from the moment Dakota saw her, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna build her." So I was tickled to death, and we just traded. I think I traded him for a blue dragon.
I think a 4 blue dragon.
I don't care. Take my $3 or $4 rare. You'll owe me sometime. I'm happy to put the blue dragon in my cube. But I'm getting away from the story. So I open up my packs, and I'm thinking, yeah, it'd be really cool to pull a Tiamat, because it's going to be like a $40 card. Maybe settles at $20 if I'm lucky. But, I mean, even for that, that's kind of a lot of money to stick in my cube or to put in my dragon deck. So I don't know if I'll ever... And then I opened my last pack while the guy from the store was trying to talk to me. And I had to stop talking to him because I could see that I just pulled a altered art Tiamat, the extended art one.
Full art Tiamat, baby!
Is that what they're called anymore, the full arts?
Full art.
Is it full art?
That's pretty base, Tyler.
It's incredibly base.
That's incredibly base.
And now it is currently in the dragon deck for a while until I decide to put it into the cube.
I think it needs to stay in the dragon deck. Because
it
legendary 5 color dragons just don't come around that often.
Yeah, but it's cool, but in order for it to be really good, I have to go and then find a way to get these dragons out of my hand.
Dude, that's 6 mana, draw 5 though.
It is 6 mana, and I think it's 7.
You got the Dragon, baby.
I do have the Dragon. I can go find the Dragon with it. There's a lot of tech. If you wanted to run like Belb's Porter or Thran Temporal Gateway, you could do it. It's definitely a cool commander by itself. Timmy Power Gamer? Timmy Power Gamer. He's not a dragon.
Yeah, but neither is Thran Temporal Gateway.
You got a point.
He's got a dragon suit on.
This is all if we're playing in the cube, mind you. I have Timmy Power Gamer as one of the potential commanders in my cube. Yep.
In the world of Magic, do what you want to do best. Just know that Timmys have more fun. If you want to be a spike, be a spike.
I don't know, man. The Johnnies sometimes have a lot of fun, too.
I don't know, man. What's more fun than big creature? See how hard you're having to think about it?
I'm going to say what's more funner than big creature is when your big creature gets chaos warped into a bigger creature.
God, I'm never going to live that down. Listen, say what you want, but I sacrificed 12 treasures to kill a goddamn Kozilek with a tiefling.
That was awesome. That was actually awesome. Well, anyways, we're going to wrap up this episode. This has been Delina Wild Mage, a really cool deck. And if you wanted, you could cut a couple cards and pull down the price tag.
You could easily pull the price tag by like $150.
Yeah, it's setting just over $300. Pull out the Ruby Medallion. There's a $20 bill in your pocket. Pull out Helm of the Host. There's
That's
a $20 bill
card.
in your pocket.
Pull out the Dockside Extortionist. There's a
Dockside
$100
Extortionist.
bill in your pocket.
How did I think of Ruby Medallion before I thought of Dockside?
Right. Ember Cleave is $10. There's a lot of ways to make this a budget deck.
Yeah.
Do what's right for you. This is what I brewed up in the 1 hour I was at work and didn't feel like doing work.
Nice. Nice. And I've been brewing a Itali deck. I'll probably save it for a while because I don't want to do mono red decks back to back.
Who's going to stop us?
You may have a point. We may see you next time with an Itali deck. If not, it's because we listened to reason and did something different. I want to do my Giga Chadrix deck tech. Get ready for that. Anyways, this is Based EDH. I am Tyler.
I am Goodwin.
What?
I am Dakota.
You are retarded. and we will see you next
you're
time.
retarded. Remember to like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Don't share because don't let people know you play Magic.
Have a good night, and remember, Jesus Christ is King.